Right. This is a large phenocryst, which is an individual crystal-like mass, actually, that's in the other ground mass, which makes this a porphyritic rock structure. And the reason we like this so much is the fact that in all of Pittsylvania County, you don't find but so many really genuine igneous dash metamorphic rocks that are so characteristic of what it should be and why it's classified that way. So in your igneous collection, this would be a nice specimen to have. And of course, if you look far enough and find it foliated enough, you can say igneous dash metamorphic. So it's either, it could be either or and or both. The phenocryst can be broken out. If you take a large hammer, for instance, a sledgehammer, knock this off, and then knock it apart, you'd get some excellent specimens that aren't so weathered. It's relatively hard rock. But I think that's about it.
Okay, I turned it off.
You can see the massive structure here and how large this quarry was when they were working on it. Of course, they started up there and they've come on down and they went way down there, but that's filled up with water. And if you notice closely, it grades from one type of rock almost to the other, yet it's pretty uniformly a porphyritic structure throughout the whole thing. Now, it is possible for rock to grade from a granite into a gneissoid rock into even something else, depending on the structure and depending on the circumstances that it was laid down or crystallized. And let's see what we can do here without breaking our neck. If it's possible, now the porphyritic nature of it is well illustrated again here. But if you notice, there's some alignment of the crystalline structure, which somebody say, oh, I want to call that metamorphic. But if you read carefully, it's like we've been saying, one grades into the other. And look at the beautiful color involved in the fresh specimens. So if you want to get yourself a nice fresh specimen, then you could take little chips of these and pulverize them and put them under a little bioscope or something and determine the characteristics. When you do this, you'll see this whole thing is permeated with quartz too, which gives it a lot of its hardness. The feldspar tends to cleave easily. And if you were really studying this, you would take little portions of it, pulverize it, and put it under, like I said before, some kind of a scope that magnifies, and you can read the cleavage angles and determine which are feldspars and the other tests that you can figure out too. So I'm going to stop now. Alright. By the way, no matter where you are in a quarry or what, look, here's something interesting. Where even in this quarry, some beavers have taken up living. And look at here. You have some little cones and some alder bushes. All kinds of stuff. Sycamore trees, and you name it. So on your field trip, you keep your eyes open because you never know what you'll run across. Okay. We were right over in this area to the left, and if you scan over to the right, the far part of the pond all the way to the around, you realize this is rather large. And to determine how deep it is another question, but we can easily find out from people who used to quarry here. If they decide to reuse this quarry, what they have to do is pump out all this water, which they could do. But you can see it's a rather consistent mass of rock, a large area of this type.
Now, was this rock used for road surface material?
Mostly for road metal, that is for road surfaces. It cracks pretty easily, a whole lot easier than that hardened rock up at White Oak Mountain, which has been so hardened by quartz that it ruins machinery that cracks it. This is easily crushed rock, and it lasts pretty long too. But you see they pretty well used it up back in the old days. do it here.
What are we looking at here? Just leave that penny in place for a second.
All right. We're looking at large phenocrysts, that is large crystals embedded in smaller crystal groundmass. I'll explain in a second. Here we have the larger feldspar crystal, phenocryst, and it's embedded in biotite mica and quartz and other feldspars and still some other material. But it's typical of this type of granitoid rock. Now notice over here this color and this color. This is due to outward staining. And if you take that home as a specimen, forget it, because it's going to lose it when it dries out. But if you break the rock open, it all has the same consistent grayish black color throughout. And look, here's some mosses and lichens getting started on this. The biologists say that this has helped reducing the rock to soil. There's some question as to whether that's true. That's all.